India and Pakistan are holding talks on the Indus Water Treaty in New Delhi. A 5-member Pakistan delegation arrived in India on Sunday for the 2-day talks. The high-stakes meeting focuses on key projects concerning both countries. The Pak delegation, which has been carefully chosen by newly appointed Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif, is led by Pakistan Commissioner for Indus Water, Syed Mehr Ali Shah. It also includes Chief Engineer of Punjab Irrigation Department, Director General of the Meteorological Office, General Manager of Pakistan's National Engineering Services and Director General of Foreign Affairs Ministry. The Indian side is headed by India's Indus Water Commissioner A.K. Pal. Earlier, our diplomatic correspondent Sidhan Sibal spoke to Pakistan's Indus Water Commissioner, who expressed his views on the ongoing talks.
So this is a part of the treaty obligation that we have to meet to fulfill our obligation so under the Indus Water Treaty, and it is a continuing process. So we believe that this process should not only continue, but it should go in a meaningful manner so that we can resolve at a bilateral level to the extent possible. So it depends on the Indian side as well, that how do they respond.
Pakistan delegation's visit comes after the Indian delegation visited Islamabad for the previous Indus Treaty talks in March this year. Issues like advanced flood information, construction of hydropower projects by India on the west-flowing rivers are among the key points of discussion for both sides. The annual report of Indus Water Commissioners will also be finalized during the talks. The Indus Water Treaty was formalized in 1960 after 9 years of negotiations between India and Pakistan with the help of the World Bank. Under the treaty, waters of 3 eastern rivers, Sutlej, Bears and Ravi, are allocated to India for unrestricted use, while the 3 western rivers of Indus, Jhelum and Chenab go to Pakistan. On top of that, New Delhi also has the right to generate hydroelectricity on the 3 western rivers through the run of the river projects. Pakistan, however, can raise objections to the projects if it wishes to. Water disputes between India and Pakistan have been a constant point of tension between both the governments, from the territorial conflict to fears of future water shortages due to the construction of dams. Both countries have had their point of differences over the years. Despite this, the treaty has been seen as one of the most successful international deals. It has survived frequent political flare-ups and has provided a framework for irrigation and hydropower development for over 6 decades. The treaty sets out a mechanism for cooperation and information exchange between the 2 countries regarding their use of the rivers, known as the Permanent Indus Commission. And for more insight on the Indus Water Commission, our principal diplomatic correspondent Sidhan Sibal has sent us this report.
Key India-Pakistan Indus Water talks started today here in the Indian national capital, Delhi. We know that earlier this year, an Indian delegation had gone to Islamabad for the talks. And during today's talks and the talks that will, of course, continue tomorrow as well, focus will be on dealing with issues like water sharing, on the exchange of flood data as well. But by and large, if you look at what has been happening in India-Pakistan relationship, while the relationship, the ties, the talks are frozen, we have seen the Pakistani delegation, this being the second Pakistani delegation here in Delhi. Earlier this month, Pakistani delegation had visited for the SCO, RATS or Regional Anti-Terror Structure meeting. Pakistan has appointed a trade minister as well. There is an announcement regarding it, and also the pilgrimage movement between the 2 countries continues. So while it's too early to say that there will be a full-fledged conversation between the 2 sides, it looks like baby steps towards some kind of movement between the 2 sides, even though SCO and Indus Water talks are part of the usual multilateral and bilateral mechanism. In fact, Indus Water talks have been lauded for being very successful, and the talks have continued in the worst of worst relationship. In fact, when both countries were at war with each other, the talks continued. with video journalist Chandrasekhar Siddhansibal for WION in New Delhi.
WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.